So this is my foundry. This is what I started off with. It was built based on the designs of the King of Random. I had charcoal is what I was using at first. I decided to eventually move to propane, and I had to modify my system. What I have in the bottom here, this is a cast iron pot that I was using. That's all pumice stone used as plinths. Some of it started to melt, and this piece of metal here, that was actually a pipe that I capped off to fill in the hole that I had originally drilled for the King of Random style. Down here, I just built a rail burner. Watched a video for that from, I think it's called RL Rob was the gentleman's name. Very good video. But I got a quick release, I got a ball valve and a needle valve. I didn't have the needle valve at first, I just had the ball valve. Use the exact and correct fittings because my quick release will eventually, the O-ring will give out because it's rated for air, not for propane. And what will happen is, if there gets to be a draft, it'll blow the flame back here, and if this is leaking propane, then it'll actually ignite this and you have to hit the ball valve. Always be as safe as you can. I'm kind of an idiot, so that's what I did. Don't do that. There's my propane tank over there. Of course, I need to get the braided line. I'm going to build a better foundry down the road. But for right now, let's get this thing started up, huh? Okay. I used to have a lid. It melted away. I mean, broke after several heats and everything else like that. I've accidentally melted steel with this thing. It's not a bad little setup, but it could be improved. That is molten pumice, or looks like it's getting ready to melt. Well, some of it already has down there at the bottom. This little foundry, it works well, and it does get that hot, but it's not very efficient. And there's a lot of issues which we'll get into next. One of the problems with that foundry was I went through several lids. Now the lids worked, I went through about 3 of them. Now the lids worked well, and I built them again, all very easy. Play sand and plaster of Paris, a couple of U-bolts, have the buckets and everything else like that. It was a very simple thing. And you let it sit and dry for a day, whatever, you're good. Now, one of the problems was that when you're taking them off and putting them back on, I was setting mine on the ground, on uneven surfaces, and sometimes the ground would be cool, and that would be very hot, and it would cause it to crack and fracture. Play sand and plaster of Paris aren't meant to take any kind of a shock, especially once they're set. It's kind of brittle, especially after being heated up to critical temperatures on multiple occasions. It completely sucks all the moisture out of it, and it has absolutely no give, no play. They'll break. They're easy to build again. The whole system is easy to build again. The problem is that it just, if you're not careful, you can burn yourself. I have on multiple occasions, on accident. The same thing goes with metal. The same thing goes with the lid. I caught my shoes on fire a couple of times, accidentally putting my toes next to it. You know, kicking it while moving around. You know, not a lot of fun. Be careful. The other problem I had was that I didn't have the correct crucible for the thing. When I first started out as charcoal, I was using a safe Coleman propane tank, one of those little small green ones. I filled it up with water, emptied it out, popped a hole in it, emptied it out completely first, and then removed the little nozzle, filled it up, you know, made sure there was no residue in there, no leftover gas. Made sure it was safe. Cut the top off, poked a couple of holes, and used a set of barbecue tongs. I bent the ends and stuck them in the holes to pull it in and out of the foundry. It worked. It took up a little more space than I had intended for, and it became a problem. So that's when I decided to go to propane. I didn't have to worry about packing stuff in around it. And I accidentally, after firing up my propane foundry, I should say, I melted it. A friend of mine built me a new crucible out of 1/4-inch steel, and I melted that one too. Hole clean through the side. Didn't have any kind of a plinth. The thing wasn't angled right. The burner wasn't angled right. It was causing all kinds of problems. Direct heat on the side of it. Completely melted it. First use. Kind of made a mistake there. Eventually I put in some pumice down there at the bottom, and then I took that cast iron one and I put it above it. It helped. It was useful. And I still had a lid at the time, and I put it on, and I was actually able to get quite a few ingots out of that. And it worked. It's not one of those things that's going to work for a very long period of time, because that cast iron one, it's starting to scale, it's starting to flake from excessive heats and cools. I couldn't control the temperature very well. I plan on building a proper foundry down the road. I've seen several designs that I really like, and I'm going to have to take some time to purchase the correct materials. If you're going to do it right. Start off. If you want to start off with the foundry. If you're interested in the foundry. The charcoal design, simple. Now, the thing is that it didn't cost as little starting up as what I initially heard. I had to purchase the drill. I had to purchase the whole hog. I had to purchase all the tools and everything else like that, and all the materials. Now, in my area, because I didn't have any equipment or anything, it ended up costing quite a bit. If you already have the tools, or if you have access to the play sand and the plaster of Paris and the buckets and whatnot, all that stuff was cheap, comparatively speaking. But all the tools and everything else like that sends it over. Once you have the tool, you have the tool, and anything else you need to do with it, you've got it. So there is that. But startup can be a little bit rough. So pay attention to that as well. Take everything you can into consideration. As far as cost-cutting measures go, once you have a tool, you'll always have a tool until it breaks. So take care of your tools. But that's enough for this video. I'll check you next time.